And so you really brought a culture of different mediums to the kind of wilderness and nature experience. You've now outfitted our entire program with mini watercolor kits. Part of your reflection process has been to draw and paint the things that you've seen. You've been able to bring others into that, and you've taught folks about the mindfulness practice of noticing in addition to the skill of drawing. And we now think that that's essential weight to carry on a backpacking trip, are these tools to be able to express yourself more than just verbally, and to really kind of hone in on the entire experience through a different mediums. Can you tell me about a little bit about the practice of bringing art into nature for you?
Mm-hmm. I think it was my first year. I was going on some OA trips, and I was kind of bummed that in in my daily life, I hadn't set aside a time for art as much as I used to. I have enjoyed art like all my life, and I guess someone asked about like what hobbies I enjoyed, and I was like, oh, like I really love drawing and painting, but I haven't had time lately. And they're like, well, you made time to like come hike, so like certainly, you can always pursue something you love. And I was like, okay. And I think one trip I just decided to see what I could do with like a sketchbook and some watercolors on like a particular trip. I feel like it was Zion, or maybe the end of um, a trip at the end of my first year. Um, and I think it was kind of just like, I'm gonna multitask, achieve two things that I like doing
I
in
remember that, like
one sitting.
stopping in Zion and other people were like snacking and drinking water, and you had like furiously flipped out, like gotten out all of your supplies and was like feeding yourself
Yeah.
drawing at the very same time. And it was like a speed round. I
Yeah.
remember this.
Yeah. It was also like, I was, yeah, I was kind of itching to like get back into art, but I wasn't sure. I like lost inspiration firstly. I lost inspiration in college. I wasn't like in a structured art class anymore, so didn't have a teacher being like, you're going to create this now, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to learn about this. It was more just like, what do I want to paint? I do not want to paint the raccoons outside of the Valley A and Valley B, the valley. So I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to paint something beautiful, and I was encountering beautiful things in nature all the time. So I was like, whatever, like this makes sense. And then it just became sort of like, people were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. And they're like, oh my God, I suck at art. And that was like I was instantly like, don't say that. Why would you say that? It just takes practice. And every time I would have to walk someone through, I was like, no, it just takes practice. And it just kind of slowly began into this, like, here, like, I'll let you try some. And then it was like people wanting to have their own kits. And then that kind of like started to spread throughout OA. So it was never like on purpose at all.
And then you started teaching classes, and then we started running trips specifically to make time for those kinds of activities. And then I think about like you furiously trying to draw while we're on a short break versus 4 years later, we were making this an essential component of part of our trips and trainings. Specifically so that we could bring out exactly what you said, like the other parts of people, that it's not just about the hiking and the physicality, but there's a whole person that's coming to the table and coming outside with us. So I really attribute the way that we see how we spend time with art in nature. You brought light to that in a way that I wouldn't have seen, and I don't think our program would have seen,